Thank you, Reverend Retta.
Thank you.
The theme this month, we have a new month. The theme this month is inspired by a very familiar and joyous holiday song, Deck the Halls. Each week, except for next week when Dale's here. And by the way, there are flyers out there. I forgot to say, the small ones. Take them to all your coffee shops and everywhere you go and leave them there. So except for next week, every talk will be about decking not just the halls of the outside world, but decking the halls of our hearts and our minds. And decking them with peace, with power, with love, with that opulence and that joy and the fullness and richness that we truly are in our divine nature. Decking the inside, decking the truth of who we are. Everywhere we look, the halls are decked. This is decked. We have a decked tree here. And in fact, everything is bedecked and bejeweled, which is the title of this talk. And so they're all, you know, when I was thinking about this, they're bedecked and bejeweled with tinsel and lights and colors so bright. Then I thought about, do we use tinsel anymore? Remember when we used to use tinsel? You know, and you had to be careful because the pets would swallow it and stuff, and it was everywhere. But I kind of like tinsel. But anyway, tinsel and lights. The question this morning is, do we feel bedecked and bejeweled at this time of year? Are we really feeling, as they say, that holiday spirit? Some will answer absolutely yes, and others not so much. In fact, perhaps this is a time of sadness and grief. Or it could be, you know, it could be because someone we love has passed on. I know that this summer, several members of my family had passed on, and one in particular, my brother-in-law, Mark, passed on, and his partner of 36 years is completely, and yes, when I was doing the talk actually last night, I texted him to let him know I was going to mention him and to let him know I loved him so much. It's devastated. This world is turned upside down. So this is the time of year where we just see all the lights and all the joy, but not everybody is in that place of joy because the things are going on in life. And I know that some of you will be facing your first holiday without your beloved husband, spouse, wife, partner, pet, your beloved pet. And you know, and in my heart and love go out to you, because we all go through that at certain times in our lives. And perhaps you have old hurts or other issues that bubble up to the top of your emotions this time of year, and that keep you from feeling that holiday spirit. And perhaps you are experiencing financial challenges, and this time of year can make it feel, that's why I love, it can make it feel challenging, but that's why I really love Christmas Eve service. It feels like I put some kind of really deep spirituality, that I come together during the holidays and I'm with my family here, my spiritual family, and celebrating Christmas. That's my real Christmas, is Christmas Eve. And there's no gift giving, there's just us being the gift to each other. That's the joy of Christmas Eve service. But perhaps you have old stuff that come up this time of year, and that can make it feel more pronounced. So whatever it is, I want us to know it's okay. It's okay to feel those emotions. Now, we are one of those rah, rah, yes, joyful spiritual centers. And we believe in the goodness in life. And we believe it is our birthright to experience joy and abundance. And we believe that God always has our back, don't we?
Yes.
Yes. And we also acknowledge that we are not always going to feel rah, rah and upbeat. There are times when we won't. We don't always feel the joy, the peace, the abundance, the love that we truly want to feel. It's not always there, and we need to acknowledge that.
Right.
We need to know that those emotions are completely okay. But the holidays can bring out a lot of, even, they can magnify. If you're feeling lonely, or you're feeling a little depressed, or stuff's going on, it can just magnify it for you. And I want you to know that we have, I don't even know, about 13 practitioners right now who call them up for a prayer or make an appointment for a session. They're there to support you. Could all of our practitioners and ministers stand up? The ones that are here, except for Dennis. See, these are just a few of our practitioners who are here to support you. Use them. Their numbers are in the bulletin. Thank you. We're so proud of them. We're so proud of them. We really, it's just amazingly wonderful, the healing arm, which they're known as, that we have in this community. Make use of it. But let's talk a little bit about the emotional factor this morning, because it's really important to acknowledge that. And I have a reading by Sufi mystic and poet Rumi, entitled, and you might have, I know some of you have, The Guest House. But it speaks to what I want to talk about this morning, because it's so beautiful. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if you're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So let's pull from that beautiful, I love that. Isn't it beautiful? Let's pull from that beautiful passage and look at a few key elements. And then I will give you a couple of practical ideas that we can use so that we can feel more bedecked and more bejeweled this holiday season. First, in dealing with our emotions, the first step is awareness, not denial. When we deny what we are really feeling, we're doing a spiritual bypass, it will show up some other way. You cannot deny it. We are human beings. Remember, we're having that human experience. We're supposed to have emotions. Are we not?
Yes.
It's like, we're spiritual beings. We're not supposed to feel any of that because we're so enlightened. We are so above all of that. We don't feel any of that. And if we do, we just sweep it away and become joy and love. That's not even realistic. It's not what we came here to do. We are human beings. We have human emotions. And I'm saying let's recognize and honor them. And this is an idea that I really like. Identify the emotions, but don't identify with the emotions. Identify the emotions, but don't identify so fully with it. Don't let it outline who you are. When you become aware of an emotion, treat it as you would an honored guest in your house, welcoming, but don't let it take up residence. Respect and honor it. Be kind and compassionate to it, but don't let it run amok. And let it know that it is a guest in your home. I love this whole concept. It will be expected to follow your house rules. It shall not take charge of your life. Think about it. If you had house guests and they were having wild parties every night and the neighbors were complaining, it wouldn't be acceptable to you. Or for you to say, I can't help it, to your neighbors. I can't help it. My rowdy house guest made me invite all his friends and her friends, and I have no control over them. This is like how we are with our emotions, which we do recognize, but we are responsible for what goes on in our own homes. Where are our own homes? This is the guest house here. We are completely responsible for our own inner world. No one else can be. Honor your emotions. And you were going to slash emotions / guests. Honor them, they're guests, without letting them take over. You are not the victim of your emotions. Don't be the victim of your emotions. You are their gracious host. It's a different shift, a whole different perception of our emotions. They're a guest in your home. In truth, these emotions don't feel comfortable having the run of the place. It's not their job description. And they get very fearful and run amok. Those emotions actually need house rules. And only you can provide them. It's a great way to look at emotions / guests in your home. You welcome them in. You recognize them, but you don't let them have the run of your house. If you discover they are running amok, your first response may be to evict all of these squatter emotions and be done with them. But it's not that simple. It's not quite that simple. These emotions are here for a reason. This is what Rumi is telling us. He is telling us that they've become unruly because there was no one to tell them the house rules, to explain that while they are honored guests and that their input is valued, all final decisions will be made by the owner of the home, namely you. You make the rules. So what you need to do is get to know each of these emotions guests one by one and ask them some questions. I have a couple of questions. Honor them and understand their intentions specifically and ask, where do you come from? What is your intention? How can I make you feel more comfortable? What am I to gain by your residence? What am I to learn from you? If you've ever done this introspective work, and I have, and I'm sure a lot of you have, and it continues. It's not like you do it and it's over. It's like a continuous thing. And it's so interesting because you always get an answer to those questions. When something arises that feels so uncomfortable, one of these guests are like really making a whole bunch of noise in your home, in your house. It's like, okay, what am I to learn from this whole emotional experience? I don't like the way it feels. I know what it is. And by asking those questions, it's amazing some of the answers I've gotten. And by doing that, it kind of empowers, I'll speak for myself, it empowers me then to move on and not let that guest take over my whole life. They will respond with gratitude. And as you get to know them, because we get to know our emotions. Did anyone ever get to know their emotions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we get to know them, and as we can when we understand them fully, we can quiet them down. It doesn't mean they're not going to keep popping in, but we can quiet them down, and we can satisfy some of the needs of these guests. And you'll be surprised at what they have to share with you. It really is interesting. You're going to have them anyway. So you might as well get to know them and ask those questions and learn something from them. No matter what emotions that seem to be holding you hostage, and sometimes it feels that way, remember your emotions only want to serve you. They do serve you if you really truly look at them in this new way. And remember, you have the deed to your home. Your emotions don't own the deed to your home. You do. They are guests in your home, in your life. So don't stay there. Rumi tells us that each has been sent as a guide to teach us something. And in all of this, I want to remind you of something that Ernest Holmes wrote in the Science of Mind textbook, and it's on page 33. He wrote, "God is always God. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but there is that eternal voice forever whispering within our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. What is it that will support you during this whole holiday season in treating your emotions as honored guests and realizing that being clear that this is your house and the rules are your rules, and God is bigger than any challenge, than any emotion that we could ever have. Sometimes we allow these emotions to truly take over and we think they're in charge. They are not really in charge when we take ownership, yet again, to the deed of our home. When we take ownership, there is a divine essence within us that cannot be harmed, denied, delayed, or harmed in any single way. That's the flow of life. That's the God spark, the God essence within each and every one of us. Wayne Muller, in his book, How Then Shall We Live, shares that, this is really cool, that the centerpiece of Quaker theology is their steadfast belief in a palpable inner light. This light, they insist, is a spark of the divine that burns brightly and surely within each and every one of us. Does that sound familiar?
Yes. Yes.
One Quaker writer, we don't hear much about Quaker theology, and it's really good stuff. One Quaker writer expresses it this way, and I'm quoting from the book, How Then Shall We Live? This is what he wrote. Deep within us, there is an amazing inner sanctuary of the soul, a holy place, a divine center, a speaking voice to which we may continuously return. Eternity is at our hearts, pressing upon our time, torn lives, warming us with intimations of an astounding destiny, calling us home unto itself, yielding to the persuasions, gladly committing ourselves in body and soul, utterly and completely to the light within, is the beginning of true life. It is a dynamic center, a creative life that presses to birth within us. Do what you need to do. Get what you need to get to support you during these holiday seasons if you need it. Your inner light can shine so very, very, very brightly and joyously if you are in a happy place. If you're really in that truly happy place, you can feel the lightness, the joy, and all of your experiences. But then there are times when you don't feel it. And if you're in that place of absolute joy right now and feeling that's wonderful, that's wonderful. And you might think, well, this talk doesn't apply to me because I'm in this great place. I'm bedecked and I'm bejeweled. I'm having a good old time. I say, file this away into your spiritual arsenal, which you might just need at some other time. Because life happens. Hello? Did we all notice that?
Yes.
So here are 3 things that can support you. 1, be okay with shedding some tears. And 2, turn to your faith. 3, get an ample amount of hugs. We're experts here at Hug. We love to hug. So you can always get a hug here. A therapist once told me, no one has ever died from crying, but people have died from not crying. If you need to have a good cry, then do it. And I want to share, one of my mentors is Reverend Michelle Whittington. She's in Arizona. Wonderful being of light, just incredible. Well, her husband is also a minister, Lonnie Whittington, and he has a prison ministry. So, you know, they communicate with the prisoners, especially Lonnie. He goes like weekly into the prison system and teaches science of mind to them, which is pretty cool. So this is a letter that she shared with me that came from an inmate who was incarcerated. He wrote, "Dear Lonnie and Michelle, first and most importantly, I would like to thank you so much for each and every single thing that you are doing to help me and our Science of Mind community here in prison. I am so happy to tell you that I received your letter, flyer, and CD last night. I truly am speechless. I am touched in a way that I have never been touched. After listening to how strongly Reverend Michelle became while reading the letter that I wrote, I began to cry uncontrollably. Yet again, you have helped me with a problem that I have had for many years. Yes, crying. For some strange and bizarre reason, I haven't been able to cry since I was 16 years old. And don't get me wrong, I have had the urge to cry due to so many hurtful events in my past. I would always look around and see many others crying their hearts out, but the tears just wouldn't fall for me. Well, last night, while listening to and feeling the strong emotions from Michelle as she read that letter that I wrote, it stirred inside me a feeling of love that I can only say came from God. I cried and cried like I've never cried before. And to my surprise, it felt so good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I have explained before, he writes, in this place, it is so easy to feel that people outside of the prison walls do not love or care about us. But when I hear the type of love and emotion that I hear on this CD, it makes all of the transformation worthwhile. And today, I have inside of me a much stronger force to succeed. I now understand how Superman felt with his cape on. Love and joy, your brother and friend, Leo." So crying is really good for us. Lots of times we hold it in. We hold it in, and just to let you know, it is healthy. It is good to have a good cry. What is that? So the eternal quest from Rumi's poem is that thing which, this is from Ernest Holmes, that thing which forever sings and sings. Turn to that thing that forever sings and sings, and remember that. Rest in that. It's that divine essence within us. How strongly, the next one is the faith. How strong is your faith? Your faith in the divine power of good. Do you truly believe that the universe has your back? We say it. Do you truly believe it? That God is your true support and source of all supply. And I'm saying that we have lapses in our faith. It's okay if we go to fear over something that pops up in our lives. It's a lapse in our faith. And we are human, so it's okay to have those lapses. Some of people say, well, you're not practicing your spiritual truth. You just gave way to that emotion. That's not in spiritual what you talk about and teach. And I'm here to say, yes, I am having a human experience, but it's simply a lapse. It is a short lapse before I return to knowing that God has my source and supply. Of course we get scared when we hear a diagnosis. Of course we get scared when we lose a job, lose a spouse, lose a loved one. We are human beings. I don't want us to squash these and think that it's not spiritual and we're not in spiritual integrity if we just go into the fear. The fear is there. It's part of our fight and flight, our reptilian brain. It's part of who we are. But I'm saying we have these spiritual tools to bring us back in alignment. That's what we have. So there can be lapses. We can feel them. It's okay. Just don't stay there. Let it be a short lapse. And return to the strong faith. I know in our foundation class on Thursday night, what a great class, wow. We had an almost 2-hour discussion on one page. Right, Elliot? It was phenomenal. It was amazing. It was so deep and so beautiful. And it was all about this indwelling eternal force. We were speaking of eternality, being immortal. And it's about being birthed into this experience. Something was birthed into it. What was birthed into it? Our divine essence, the God spark, the truth of who we are. We are all going to be birthed into another experience at some time. You know that, right? Does everybody know that? Well, we all are. It's a birth. It's a birth into a new experience. It's that living essence. It's that as it's called, the flowing waters of divinity within us that goes on, forever expanding. And so we're doing the work here, and our soul expands with every lesson, with every emotion we acknowledge and learn and become aware of. And it goes on forever. And this is, the thing is, we have the faith that this is all part of the unity of all life. That there is one divine energy. So how strong is your faith? How much are you going to care about the diagnosis, the bill you can't pay, the friends you just lost, the relationship that just fell apart, whatever it is? How much are you going to care about that when you're being birthed into your next experience? You're not taking any of that with you. You say you can't take it with you. That doesn't mean just treasures here. It means those heavy emotions, those bills that come in your mailbox. There is no mailbox. I just decided that right now. There is no mailbox in God. So no bills are coming. They're not going to follow you through that tunnel into the light. Declaring that right here, right now. It's not in my consciousness. No mailboxes in God. All right. So then we move into getting an ample amount of hugs. So there was a father who decided he was going to hug it out with his small son who was in the middle of a temper tantrum. And the father got down on one knee and shouted, "I need a hug." And his son, through his tears and his tantrum, sobbed, "What?" And the father shouted again, "I need a hug." And his son asked incredulously, "Now?" The father said, "Yes, now, right now. Come on, give me a hug." "Okay," the son said. And begrudgingly and stiffly, he gave his father a hug. And soon the stiffness disappeared, and they melted into each other's arms. And after a few moments, the father said, "Thanks, I needed that." And the little boy said, "Yeah, I did too." So this hugging out, these are just a few ways that I've given you today of decking the halls of the inner self, decking them with jewels, because we have within us a beautiful jewel. Each and every one of us have a beautiful jewel within us that wants to shine brightly. So we're going to do something a little unorthodox right now, which is how usual. To bring this all together, I think we'll see how it goes. We're going to spend the next few minutes giving out hugs in a certain way. And I want, could those people that stand up who feel like really on it and in it, and they feel the holiday spirit, and they have lots of the love to give away, stand on up. Oh, there's a few here. Okay. All right, so I would like those people to, like 5 come up front and the rest line up in the back, okay? Then anyone who wants to receive some intentional love in the form of a hug method, go up to one of these people and come on up and get a hug. If you want a good hug, get a hug. Go on up, go on up. Stand back. I got it.